This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience.
War Eagle Auburn fans, welcome to No Huddle, your source for Auburn football news and discussion, part of the E2C Network. I'm AJ Richardson, and we are back to finish up the preseason. I've brought along with me Jared Davis. We're going to break down the second half of Auburn's season and how we see this playing out. This is going to be a tough sledding for Auburn, but I think we can still have a successful season. Let's talk about it, Jared. Let's talk about the very first week after playing Georgia is bye week.
I got Auburn in that one.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yep.
Thank goodness.
Pretty solid on that choice.
I did too. And since we're doing the new game this year where we kind of do that, I'll say Auburn too. I don't know how we're going to do points. Maybe
that's a bold move.
Maybe you get negative points or something if an Auburn player gets injured in the bye week or something. I don't know.
I am not going to jinx us like that. I'm going to let you do that. Okay. I don't want people to get mad.
That's fair. I do think, and I've heard some like differing opinions about this. You know, after coming from playing a tough game in Athens, yeah, I think of it as a nice break. It'll be, in the exact middle of our season. But I've also heard the opinion, and Kyle Loomis, also part of the E2C network, he was saying this is probably not one of the best timed bye weeks, just because you come in, especially if you play tough against Georgia, then you got to sit on it for an extra week or two. That could not, that could be a negative for Auburn. But I'm usually of the opinion that a bye week's a good thing. Helps you get rested, heals up any injuries. I'm personally a fan of it. And hey, we're about to go to Missouri the week after, and I think anytime you go, and right now Missouri's kind of ranked preseason number 11. It could be a really tough game in Missouri, and so any extra prep time, like a bye week, gives you an extra week to prep for a team. I think that's a big benefit to Auburn. So that leads us into the Missouri game out in Missouri. It'll be a morning game, which, man, let me just say this, not a big fan of morning games, especially morning games when it comes to being away. But that can also, again, you kind of spin it another way. That means the Missouri crowd's going to be a little sleepy coming in. They won't be necessarily as loud. So I can kind of see it both ways, but I just hope Auburn doesn't come out flat, especially after a tough game against Georgia a couple weeks before. I do think that Missouri's pretty good. Now, I think it's a little overhyped that they're number 11. I mean, their defensive coordinator left. Their best running back left. And so, I mean, to me, those are a couple of big pieces that I think will change how this Missouri team does this year. Now, last year, they did fantastic. They finished 11-2, 6-3, or 6-2 in the conference. I mean, to me, that's awesome. That's a great way to kind of finish out, a season where I think a lot of people were starting to discount Missouri, and them being in the SEC, they kind of came out swinging, and that's a good thing for them. But I just don't see that continuing this season at Missouri. I'll go into my score prediction. I think it's going to be a close one. Right now, the line's at Missouri wins by 9.5 points. I could see Auburn coming to Missouri and winning, especially with an extra week of prep in the bye. I think right now I'm going to say Missouri probably beats us, but I also see us, potentially squeaking this one out. So it'll probably be a game time decision for me on what my official prediction will be. But I think for now, I'll say Missouri wins this one by 3 points. What's kind of your thoughts on this, Jared?
I'm going to copy you on the point spread, but I do think this could. I think if Auburn wins, it's by 10 or more. I don't know with Missouri. I kind of have the same feeling as you. I feel like they had a solid year last year. I don't listen. Auburn hadn't played well, so anybody can say anything they want about Auburn, and that's fine. But the East is not fantastic, right? So they were a good team in a average division.
Right.
They've lost. You're right. That running back last year. I mean, if you watch the games, they rode him.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
He was a transfer. He was a surprise. He was a surprise, but he was fantastic. I mean, I saw their coach like game 1 against Kansas State literally forget to send the field goal team out on the field for a game-winning field goal, and it was a penalty and cost them 5 yards. The kicker bailed him out. I mean, I I don't know. I still watch that, and I'm like, I don't have a lot of faith in that. So,
I mean, they easily
they went on to win some games.
They easily could have had like an 8-5 season last year. Just they had so many close ones. Which again, hey, you look at Auburn last year, we had a lot of close ones, and
they won them.
Yeah,
I'm not taking away from their. They found a way to win them. It just doesn't. They don't scare me, but it's at Missouri.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're probably good enough to overcome a good team on the road. But I will say the 11 a.m., while I hate those games, I think it bodes well for the visiting team because you take the crowd out of it. So other than that, that's the only benefit of it. But, yeah, as of right now, I have Missouri winning that game.
Our next game is at Kentucky. I think this is another one of those. It sounds, on paper, not that scary, right? Kentucky last year went 7-6 and 3-5 in conference. It's at Kentucky. I give them that, right? But then you look at kind of where ESPN kind of sees us, and we're winning roughly about 46% of the time. So 50-50 shot there. I think Mark Stoops is a solid head coach, and I think he knows how to get the most out of Kentucky. I think this is one where either we win at Missouri and then lose at Kentucky, or kind of the flop of that. Maybe we win both, but I think it's in reality probably we win one or the other. So my score prediction for this one will be I think we win by 7 points in Lexington, and I would love to go into an evening game in Lexington and just kick butt. I have one of my good friends. He went to Kentucky for his undergrad. He actually went to Bama for he's a lawyer, and now he's at Auburn getting his MBA. So I was like,
well, he's just covering all the SEC
pretty much. He just needs to, and he wanted to go to Georgia for his MBA. And I'm like, what the heck, dude? Like, do you just want to bounce around and get a degree from every school?
Yeah, man. Why not? That way you're happy. You're happy every Saturday.
Jared, what's your thoughts on this Kentucky game?
I really don't know, man. I think they're a lesser good version of Missouri. I think every year we like to try to make Kentucky more than they are because they used to not be relevant and now they're semi-relevant. They're solid. They're solid. They don't make a lot of mistakes, but they don't have any firepower. So I think we're going to win. I'm going to get us by 10. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost. It's on the road. Any SEC game on the road stuff. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to be the better team. By then, hopefully, we've built a ton of chemistry. By then, the freshmen aren't really freshmen anymore either. Yeah. So, it's time to show up at that point. Are they showing up? I'm going to pick us by 10. If you said we lose, I wouldn't argue with you. Yeah. But I think we pull it out.
I think that almost Auburn at this point needs a win because you're going to go, if you look at kind of where we're predicting things, Auburn loses to potentially Oklahoma, Georgia probably lose there, Missouri potentially lose. It could be a toss-up there. And then, I think this team just needs a little, boost of confidence. Like, you are a good team, and I think being able to do that at Kentucky could be a good one. I will mention my little sister. She's an Auburn grad for undergrad, but she just got her degree at Kentucky. And I know my parents are going to the Kentucky game this year. And I think my little sister is too, which is kind of fun.
Nice.
That's one. I don't think I've ever been to I think it's now the Kroger Field in Lexington. So that'll be kind of neat for them. Next game, Vandy. I don't think we need to spend too much time on it other than Vandy struggled last year, 2-10. They didn't win a conference game last year in the SEC. Their head coach, Clark Lee, This will be his fourth season at Vandy. He replaced both his offensive and defensive coordinators, and they're having to replace their leading rusher and then lost a lot of their top wide receivers. It just sounds like a absolutely decimated Vanderbilt team. And I'm sure they did fine in the transfer portal, but like that's just brutal. Right now, I see the predictor is that Auburn wins 82% of the time, according to ESPN. It's kind of shocking to me that it's that low because it's in Jordan-Hare. Auburn hasn't been in Jordan-Hare literally for the whole month of October, and we come back like the fans are going to be ready to just get super loud, and I feel like this team's going to need is going to feel the energy of being back in Jordan-Hare. And I legitimately think we're probably going to win this by like 20 plus points. For my official score prediction, I'll say 24 points. Even though, Vandy gave us a little fits last year, I mean, we still handled them. So, Jared, what's your thoughts on this Vandy game and your score prediction for it?
Yeah, same. I'm not going to spend a ton of time either. You've nailed the reasons as to why. I'm going to say 17. It's SEC game. I think we just try not to show a lot, get in there, use the running game, get out, and move on. So I'm going to clean 17 points and move on to the bye week.
Yeah, I would love that. Also, bye week number 2. Like, is it just my perception, or is that a new thing? Like getting a second bye week in there?
Yeah, I've never known it. I think that's a new one.
It feels new. So that's pretty exciting. We get a little break.
That's 2 Saturdays I don't have to deal with a loss, so I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I definitely appreciate the lowered level of stress during those weeks. And hey, this one's towards the end of the season, so there should be some pretty good games on that week that we could watch. I haven't looked at the schedule, but I would assume that there's some good ones. And then after the bye week, we play Louisiana Monroe, and it'll be a morning game, and it'll be on the SEC network. Lamo won 2 games last year, so I have no doubts in my mind. I'm going to keep it short and simple. I think we win by, I'll say 35 points. It might even be more. I know we did have this scare last year with New Mexico State at the end of last season, but like, I don't care. Like this is Louisiana Monroe. I just don't see it happening. Jared, what's your thoughts on this Louisiana Monroe game?
Yeah, I'm going to go 30. I think we're still just kind of going into A&M next week. I think we're going to be I think we basically got 2 games. I know we need to prep stuff and rep it in the game, but Vandy and La Monroe, just don't screw it up. Don't get people hurt. I'm going to pick 30 on that one.
Yeah. All right. So I think we are on to our last couple of games of the SEC. We'll be playing Texas A&M in Jordan-Hare. That'll be another one of those flex times of sometime in the afternoon, like 2:30 or 3:30, or it could be the 5 to 7 o'clock at night game. And last year, Texas A&M went 7-6 and 4-4 in the conference. I mean, very much to Texas A&M standards and what I was expecting out of them. Very much underperforming. They paid a crazy ton money over Jimbo Fisher, and I'm so glad they did it. I'm glad they gave all that money to Jimbo. I think you and I and just about everybody was kind of expecting at some point Jimbo to be fired, but for them to do it this early, I mean, they could have legitimately waited another year and then saved a few $1 million, but they were like, nah, we're going to pay literally the biggest buyout to say you're done coaching and don't ever coach again, pretty much. Like, that's what they said to Jimbo Fisher. And I think Jimbo Fisher probably will never coach again. And he might coach at some small school, but like never a big school like Texas A&M or a school like that. So they now have Mike Elko, who came from Duke. And if you've been watching Duke and football, they've actually been pretty successful the last few years. And it's a lot attributed to Mike Elko and how good of a coach he is. I also mentioned, I was looking at the staff for Texas A&M, Trooper Taylor. If you remember him, he was one of the coaches, I believe, under Tuberville. He might have come to Malzahn a little bit too, or
He was Chiswick.
Chiswick. Okay,
He was
that's
there.
what it was.
He was there in
Chiswick.
2010.
Yeah. So kind of
Yes,
cool to
sir.
see him. He's now the associate head coach at Texas A&M, and he followed Mike Elko from Duke to Texas A&M. I have been reading this, and I want to kind of discuss with you, Jared. I'm hearing some people predict that A&M comes to Jordan-Hare and upsets Auburn.
Not happening. I'll buy you a car. Here, I'm putting it on the line. Are you ready for this?
Ready. I'm ready.
I will buy you another coffee.
Let's go.
AJ. I owe you a Starbucks if A&M comes in and beats Auburn.
I'm writing it
Putting
down.
it on the line.
I love it.
Write it down. Text it. Let me tell you why they're not going to come in, okay? Do you want to know why they're not going to? It has nothing to do with football. It has a lot to do with football, actually. But the SEC, Twitter, X, whatever, put out 2 weeks ago, schools ranked by walking distance to the nearest Waffle House.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina was the shortest with 0.2 miles. Auburn came in at 0.9 miles. This is the closest Waffle House to campus. Everybody was within 6 miles. Texas A&M, 69 miles.
Wow.
To the closest Waffle House. You cannot win football games if you don't have a Waffle House closer than that. So, I am going. Auburn's going to beat A&M, and if they don't, you know what? I'm taking you to Waffle House, AJ. That's what we're doing.
I love this even more than just coffee.
No, forget the coffee. We are going to Waffle House if Texas A&M comes in and beats Auburn.
I'm a big fan of this deal. I feel like I'm at some point I'm gonna have to like reciprocate. Like if I lose something, I gotta buy you a coffee. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I might. You know what? I'm debating. I might even put a shirt on that says "I love Jimbo Fisher." We'll figure that out.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not coming in and winning. Here's the thing about A&M. They always keep trying to make A&M happen. Okay. Yeah. A&M lost a decent amount of their talent when Jimbo left. They still are very talented, don't get me wrong. But when has a new coach taken over a program, even if they're talented, and they're predicting them to go on the road and win games like this? I don't understand it. It ain't happening. It's not happening. I'm not listening to anybody that says it is happening. They're not going to win this ball game.
Yeah, I've heard people say this.
Not at Jordan-Hare.
This is the game that Mike Elko comes in and like this is his season-defining moment.
Nope.
And you're like, what? Like,
not happening.
I just don't see it. Yeah.
That's because it's not there. You only see legit things, AJ. That's why you can't see it. It's not happening. And unfortunately, I'm not having to buy you Waffle House. But on the off chance it does, I'll buy you Waffle House.
All right. Cool. And I'm going to predict for our score predictions for this. I think Auburn wins by 6 points. Jared, what's your score prediction for it?
You're probably going to think this is crazy because I just said it can't happen. I don't think it's a blowout. I think we win by 10, but they're not coming in and winning. So I'll put us at 10.
I mean, I know Texas A&M is talented. Like they
are.
They had, what was it, the number 1 recruiting class a couple years ago. But like anytime change of coach, just a lot of those players end up leaving. Just new culture, everything to get like a team like A&M to the point where I think they'll scare Auburn, right? Like I'm not saying this cupcake game by any means.
They're not terrible. But I just don't think they're going to win. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I just don't see it happening either.
No. Again, go back to pull up the Waffle House chart. If you're ever in doubt, pull up the Waffle House chart. If your nearest one's 70 miles away, you're not coming into Jordan-Hare and winning.
I mean, Gus Malzahn wouldn't even consider it, considering how much he loves Waffle House. He probably would never, even if they paid him so much money to come to Texas A&M, he'd be like, well, if I can't celebrate at Waffle House, it's not even worth it to me. Yeah, I could just hear him saying that.
That's right. It's not happening. Yep.
All right, so final game of the regular season for Auburn will be against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Again, kind of the flex time of that 2:30 or potentially in the evening, like 5 to 7. If I'm being honest, I would love an evening game, but I think more traditionally it's been that afternoon game right after Thanksgiving. So I think it'll probably be that 2:30 time, which I think is a good spot for Auburn. Obviously, Alabama had another good season last year, went 12-2 and 8-0 in the conference. They beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, which was awesome. Love to see that, and kept Georgia out of the playoffs. but it still haunts me and still hurts me that, Bama, we were literally a play away on a 4th down from beating Bama. And, I just, that I think that's going to haunt me for a while. I don't think it's going to haunt me as bad as, the kick 6 or something does to Alabama fans, but, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I'm going to pick them to win, and I can't talk about last year because it still hurts. But I think Milroe for them is the difference maker. I think he makes just one or two more plays than we're able to make. So I think they win by 10, unfortunately. Hate to say it, but.
Yeah. I mean, and legitimately, Jalen Milroe is a good player. Now, do I think, I don't know if you remember right after he beat Auburn, he was like, I should be a Heisman candidate. And you're like, just because you had one good game, really? Like, you haven't put together a full season. Like, that doesn't justify you becoming a Heisman.
He's very athletic. He's more like Tim Tebow-esque. Like, he's gonna scare the defense and get you out of position to where he can hit open guys. I don't think he's a NFL quarterback, but he may prove me wrong. We'll see. But he's just super athletic. I think his legs, he's gonna make enough plays to be the difference. I think it's tight, but they win in the end. And hate to say that, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is kind of this narrative going on, with the new head coach. Saban's no longer there. Yep. Maybe this is the year Auburn could come in and do it. I mean, they hadn't come to Tuscaloosa and won since 2010 with the Cam Newton and the Cam back. But that was just like a magical night. I was there. It felt magical. It felt just everything was right for us to do it. And I think if we do have a chance, it's got to have that feeling. It's got to have that feeling of there's more to this game than just a big rivalry, which a lot of times that's enough. But sometimes it's, if we, I'm just, I don't know, predicting that if something like this happens where if Auburn beats Alabama and it keeps them out of the playoffs or something, I don't think it's going to happen like that because of the expanded playoff and stuff. But like, what if they were like a bubble team? I think it would have to be something like that for Auburn to be like, yeah, we want to play upset and we want to come in and beat Bama in Tuscaloosa. I mean, I could see us winning, but I ultimately don't think that we'll do it. Jared, what are you kind of thinking for your score prediction for this game? I'm honestly thinking we probably lose by like a touchdown and it's fine. Again.
Yeah, I got 10. I'm gonna put them at. I'm gonna say they win by 10.
Yeah, but it also wouldn't shock me if somehow we squeak out a win over them by like 3 points or something.
No,
crazy.
I mean it's a rival. I mean, it's a rivalry game minus having the greatest head coach of all time. So rivalry games, they get back to rivalry games when you lose a Nick Saban. So it's a chance. It's not impossible. I just don't think we do.
Yeah. So kind of to wrap things up, I think, and I just done my numbers for this. I think minimum for sure Auburn's going to win by 7 wins this season. I think what I've got currently is 8 wins. I'm going to go through yours real quick. Let's go game by game. You've got us winning Alabama A&M, Cal, New Mexico State, Arkansas, Oklahoma. That's 6 wins so far. Missouri, you've got them winning.
Pretty sure I got us at 9-3, only losing to Missouri, Georgia, and Alabama.
Yeah. So I think, I honestly think that isn't the cards for Auburn. If they play their cards right, 9-3 is legitimately a possibility. I think it would be. Think about this. If you go 9-3 and then go to a good bowl game, you could be a 10-win season, and really that sets you up for the next season, which would be kind of where you're setting yourself up for making a run in the playoffs. So I think that is very possible.
I actually don't when I see it like that, but I went game by game, so I gave my opinion. But I would be highly, highly, highly surprised if we win 9.
What do you think?
I would have said
What do you think the floor is, though? Like, what is the lowest number of wins that you think Auburn could have this season?
I can't get it out of my head of what the floor better be versus what. I guess the floor theoretically could be 5 or 6. I don't know, but I think he's got to win 7. Not win 7 like he's going to be fired. I think he's got to win 7 to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
I think if he goes 6-6, people are going to start wondering if his plan is actually working.
Yeah.
So I think he better go. I don't know if I can give you an answer for floor, but I think he better win 7. I think he actually wins 8.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to tweak a game or two. I realize I said it came out to 9-3, but I think all in all, if you said, "Hey, money on the line, how many games does Auburn win this year?" I probably say best case scenario 8.
Yeah. I mean, I could, if we win, so say we go somehow to Georgia and like somehow win, I think that changes the trajectory of this team overall. But like odds of that happening
if we beat Georgia, I think we win 10. Yeah, if we beat Georgia, if we're able to beat Georgia and it's not a fluke, like we beat them, I think we win 10 ball games. I mean, I think that's a whole different combo.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that takes us to that's a whole different mindset. Oh, okay. But we could lose to Kentucky. I didn't have us losing there. We could lose Missouri and Kentucky. We could lose to Oklahoma, but we better not. You can't. If you want to keep the momentum going, you can't lose at home to Arkansas or A&M. You just can't.
Yeah.
People may disagree with me about A&M. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit, but you cannot lose those 2 games at home or Cal. You cannot. Those are 3 games you absolutely cannot lose.
Absolutely.
If you want to keep any kind of momentum going.
For sure.
That puts you at 7.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, I think 7 is the floor. I mean, I think there's enough history around Hugh Freeze and building up programs that he's been at that I think he knows 7 is very doable. Now, getting to like 8 or 9 wins is 8 wins is possible. And I think that's where I kind of ultimately land. But hey, maybe you kind of squeak out one extra one. You never know.
This is the schedule for Auburn. We know this. There's no LSU. There's no Ole Miss. Now, most years Ole Miss is like not the team you mentioned, but they're pretty good the last 3 years. So there's no LSU. There's Ole Miss. No Ole Miss. This is about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
For us, like this. If you want to win 9 games and really catapult into a different level in recruiting, like excitement, this is the schedule to do it with.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying we do it, but it is not going to get any easier. You got Oklahoma at home pretty early in the season for them. First time, really probably biggest road test.
Yeah.
SEC game. You got the games. The only games that would have been better is like if flip Kentucky and Vandy. Give Kentucky at home, that almost assures you the win. You're going to win at Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
There's your 9.
Yeah.
As it is, you got Missouri and Kentucky on the road. You could lose both of those because they're road games.
Yeah.
So Vandy's a gimme. So it would have been better to have Vandy on the road.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't get much better.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at Auburn's strength of schedule, and right now it's around like the 5th hardest in the whole country. And if we come out and win 8, or we're 8-4 with the 5th hardest schedule in the whole country, I feel pretty decent about that, right?
If we win 8 games, I think if we win 8 games, everything you've been selling over the past 2 years is still intact.
Oh, 100%.
You've been talking about this entire time, 2025. 2025 is our year. 2025 is our year. That's what you're selling. And if you go 8-5, you can get there. You only need to get to 10 wins to make the playoffs now, as long as it's the right 10 wins.
Well, I have a feeling, going through these games, there's a couple of those that we're going to keep it close. And I think if you show that to the recruits, I mean, I'm sure that's kind of what they probably did to Cam Coleman and said, hey, look at this. We almost beat Georgia. We almost beat Bama. If you were on our team, we would have won those games. You're the difference maker.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the sales pitch. And I think if you show we can be competitive against the best of the best, then that's kind of what we end up doing.
Agreed.
I have a couple like kind of end of season. If we look back at the season, not record, but like stats wise, I want to see what your thoughts on this are. Running back, having a running back that is over 1,000 yards, I think is pretty likely, and likely at this point is probably Jarquez. Maybe Damari Austin shocks us and again gives Jarquez a run for his money. Do you think that we have 3 running backs that have 500 plus yards? Each of them has 500 yards or more each. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna go no for 3. I think Hugh really likes Jarquez Hunter. He said he's the best running back he's ever coached last year. Jarquez had some off the field issues that started the season a little slow, but there may have been like 3 or 4 games in a row where he busted 50-yard runs for touchdowns, which we had not been doing.
Yeah.
I think our passing game is going to open it up for him. I think he's going to be the workhorse. Is my point I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I think we have 2 over 500. I don't think we have 3. I think we're going to just knowing that we do have support in the back. I think we're going to be okay riding Jarquez.
Yeah.
You don't want him to get hurt, but it's not like, oh no, we can't lose him. So I think he's going to be our workhorse, and then we're going to sprinkle in enough of Damari and Cobb. I think Damari gets the other 500. I think Jarquez and I think Cobb's probably actually our most gifted. I just think Damari's a little different style, so he's going to be used like Damari reads the hole better than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
He's more of a find the hole and go straight. He's not a lot of juke. I feel like Cobb and Jarquez are more juke, so they're more similar. So there's not a need for both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As much.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, got another question for you. This is around wide receivers. Do we finally have an 1,000-yard receiver this year? We haven't in forever.
Yes.
Who?
Lambert Smith.
Do you really think so over Cam Coleman?
Yeah, I think Coleman's going to be your flash guy.
Okay.
I think he's got too much to learn. I think Coleman's going to be I'm going to make sure he ran the right route before I throw it, so it's not going to get thrown as much to him. But when he does run the right route, look out.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be your flash guy. I think he's going to win us a game or 2.
Yeah.
But I think Lambert Smith is going to be I trust this guy. I know he's going to be where he's going to be. He's a talented kid. You know how, was it Burton last year? Burton became that trustworthy guy.
Yeah.
And I think he'll still be there. I think Burton will be a part of that. I think Lambert Smith is going to be a better version of Burton. Which Burton was pretty good by then.
And Keandre Lambert Smith, he proved it at Penn State. So he's done it at the top level.
I think he's gonna. Yeah. I think he gets 1,000. I think he's our trustworthy go-to guy.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about like receivers in the past that have kind of been a good, reliable one, like Ryan Davis or something like that. It's been a long time since we had like one guy that is just consistent throughout the whole season. We've had a few guys.
You have to have that one guy. I mean, if you go back to Darvin Adams was that for was that Cam? I think Darvin Adams was the one for Cam. I can't think of the one back in 2004, but he caught the one in the end zone from Jason Campbell in the end zone. I'll think of his name later. But that was I actually had a class with him. I can't think of it, but he was
Obamanu, was that?
No, it wasn't him.
Okay.
Those guys were better and more talented, but he had a guy that he trusted on third down. I'll look at it while I let you continue on.
Yeah. I mean, I think having a guy like Keandre Lambert Smith could be really, really powerful. And I think Cam Coleman's going to get a few like flashy touchdowns, a few flashy catches, and probably be one of our like top 3 wide receivers by the end of the season. But I think Keandre is going to be our kind of every game. Like he's probably going to have 5-6 catches, kind of that range, and maybe a touchdown or 2. I feel like that's going to be like his role, and I would love to see that. So,
Courtney Taylor, by the way, I can't, and I'm thinking that was that was Jason Campbell. Courtney Taylor was the guy that, man, when you needed a third down, whatever year it was, you needed a third down, he was your guy. And you got to have that guy.
Oh yeah. All right, got one more. This is more a defensive stat prediction for this year. Auburn last year forced 18 turnovers, and that was tied for 21st in the nation. Actually pretty good. 12 of those were interceptions. Do you think Auburn's going to have more than 18 turnovers this season? I'm just thinking about, potentially, Mike Bobo and his, more energetic nature. Does that result in more turnovers this season? I guess is my question.
You just said Mike Bobo. So if he's
Bobo, oh my gosh.
If Mike Bobo is running our defense, I'm going to go with no. We don't have more than 18. But if it's DJ Durkin, maybe.
Why did I say Mike Bobo?
I don't know. He's an assistant.
That's
coach.
hilarious.
I don't know. I really have nothing to base that on. I mean, the guy we brought in from Baylor last year was known to create chaos. So that was his thing, right? And he did. I mean,
Yeah.
we tied 21st in the nation. We haven't really been that type team in the past. We've been more about like the bend, don't break, don't let you score touchdowns, make you kick field goals. I think Durkin's more attack style, and I'm making this up on the fly because I don't know that philosophically. I just view him as more attack style, kind of more like a Will Muschamp kind of guy. That's what I view him as. Muschamp would blitz you, try to create turnover. So that's still tough though, man. 18.
18's a good bit. I mean, think about that. It's like 1.5 per game, roughly.
Yeah, I'm gonna go no. I'm gonna go we don't hit. I'm gonna go under on that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we're better overall, but I'm gonna go under on the turnovers.
Yeah. I mean, I still think our defense is gonna be really good, but I don't think. I mean, I if I'm going official, I think we could hit 18. If we get more than 18, it would be awesome. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Anything else, Jared, before we get out of here? I know we've talked about a lot of these games. I mean, again, I think you and I, if we end up being 8-4, I think we're going to be pretty happy. 9-3 would be, in my mind, pretty ecstatic. Anything else that you want to talk through before we get off?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it all. I mean, it's going to happen just like we talked about. No reason to even watch the games.
Because college football and college football is never weird.
Yeah, it's very predictable.
Weird games.
Very predictable.
100%.
Everything's going exactly what we talked about. So I think we're done here. We'll reconvene again next August and talk about how well we did the previous year.
I genuinely do love the chaos of college football. So I'm ready for this. I know my Auburn heart. It'll be rough some days, but I'm gonna push through.
I'm numb to it. If you've been an Auburn fan as long as I've been, you can't hurt me. It's like, okay, I can't be hurt. Let's go. Let's do that.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
let's have fun.
Yes, sir.
Jared, before we get out of here, how can people stay in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook under my name, Jared Davis.
And you can find me on X at AJAY_. It's always great to be an Auburn Tiger and War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.